Hello everyone, Hari here. This video is going live on Jan 1st, 2026. So first and foremost, Happy New Year to each and every one of you. I thoroughly appreciate you guys being here. Let me take 2 minutes to set the context for this playlist. In this series, we will install the Gemini CLI and use it as an AI tutor to guide our learning journey. The structure is simple yet deliberate. 17 modules spread across 4 phases designed to teach the fundamentals in a fun, interactive, hands-on way. I'm intentionally putting myself in the learner's seat and I'll be doing everything that the AI asks me to do, and I'll take you guys along with the journey. Think of this as learning with AI, not just using AI. Let me know if this particular format works for you guys. Here is the bigger picture. The way we consume content, and more importantly, the way we learn, has changed drastically in the past couple of years. AI can write code faster than ever. So as developers, if all we do is copy paste requirements into an AI tool and ship them blindly, then it's just a matter of time that a developer who's good with those tools and also knows the core fundamentals will eventually be replacing us. Whether we like it or not, that is the hard reality. If you are starting your Angular journey this year, my humble request would be double down on the basics. The moment you understand the core concepts and fundamentals, the moment you are good with the architecture side and can answer the why and the how, that's when AI works as a force multiplier. You know how to ask the right questions and get precise outputs and stay in full control. That's when we use AI to enhance the productivity, not replace your understanding. That's exactly what this playlist is about. Building a strong foundation that lets you work with AI intelligently and not blindly depend on it. That's it as far as the intro. 2 minutes are up. Let's jump straight into the content. In this playlist, we are diving into Angular AI Tutor, an interactive step-by-step guide that promises to teach us how to build a complete modern web application from the ground up using the latest patterns and best practices. We'll be building a real project called Recipe Box. Now, those are not my claims. That's straight from the documentation. So let's put that to the test. We'll go through the entire interactive course from start to finish and see how well it delivers on those promises. The course has 17 modules spread over 4 phases, each building on top of the other. After we complete all the modules, I'll share my honest thoughts on the experience. And if there are any gaps or missing pieces along the way, I will fill those in for you after each module. As anything AI, you could see a disclaimer in the documentation too. No fluff, let's jump straight into the content. As a prerequisite, you should have some experience with HTML, CSS, JavaScript, and TypeScript. You don't need to be an expert, but at least some exposure would be helpful. Frameworks are essentially extensions of these core fundamentals. You will also need Node.js installed. Not because we are going to do any backend development, but because Angular's command line interface or CLI runs on top of Node, so you will need it from the start. For the code editor, I will be using VS Code, but if you prefer something else, feel free to stick with what's comfortable for you. This playlist is designed for beginners, so all explanations will be aimed at that level. I'm not assuming you have any prior Angular experience. We will build that knowledge together as we go. Let's have a high-level look at the phases and the modules within each phase. Phase 1 is about fundamentals. We will start with an overview of the framework, learn how to bind data to templates, and handle user interactions with event handlers. Phase 2 is about state management. Here we will tackle state, values that hold data and needs to update over time based on various scenarios. We will explore what signals are, how to update and consume signals, and learn about dependent state using computed signals. Phase 3 is about architecture and components. This phase focuses on building robust application architecture. We will cover different types of binding, creating nested components, parent-child communications, component styling, looping over collections, conditional rendering, and more. Phase 4 is about advanced concepts. We will dive into more advanced topics like two-way binding for seamless data flow, services for reusing the non-UI logic across the application, dependency injection, where we delegate the responsibility of finding and injecting dependencies to the framework by simply declaring what we need. Routing, which is the concept of having a placeholder where components swap in and out based on a browser URL. That creates the illusion of navigating between pages while actually staying on a single HTML page. This is what makes it a true SPA or a single page application. Forms is an integral part of enterprise application since most user interactions involve collecting information in one way or the other. Angular Material is a component library built by the Angular team itself that accelerates development by providing pre-made components that integrate seamlessly with the Angular ecosystem. We've got a lot to cover, so let's jump straight into the content. To begin with, we need Node.js. Go to this URL and install them for your respective OS. Windows, Mac, Linux, whatever it is. To access the AI Tutor, we need Angular MCP server. We'll talk about that in detail in a moment. We need to install a command line interface or a CLI. In our case, that is Gemini CLI, within which we type our prompts, which guides us through the interactive experience. The steps are not that hard. Let's go through it together. Let me show you the Node, NPM and Angular CLI versions I have in my local setup. I have the version 20.19.5 as the Node version, 10.8.2 as the NPM version, and 21.0.3 for the Angular CLI version. If you have an older CLI version currently in your local, I suggest use this command to install the latest CLI so that you can keep up with the latest and the greatest the framework has to offer. Go ahead and install Gemini CLI if you haven't with this command. I have already done that, so I will not be installing that again. Once that is done, at a folder of your choice, for me that is desktop, I've already created a folder called Angular AI Tutor. So let me navigate to that folder, and within this folder, let me scaffold an Angular application with ng new and the name of the Angular application being recipe box. Let's pick CSS as the style sheet. Do you want to enable server-side rendering and static site generation? For our purpose, let's give no. Which AI tools do you want to configure with Angular best practices? Let's go with Gemini. Hit the space bar and click enter. This will scaffold the Angular application with Gemini CLI already configured. Once that is done, let's cd to the recipe box project, and within this folder, let's install the MCP server. For that, let's do ng mcp. Now, this one is an important one. So copy this particular object, Control C, open the application in an IDE of your choice. For me, that is Visual Studio Code. And we can already see that there is a .gemini folder within which let's create a settings.json and paste this object. And right after this MCP object, add UI and then add show line numbers and set this to false. This becomes important a bit later. Let me increase the font a bit And let's jump back to our terminal and do Gemini. This will open up your Google account. Once I sign in, it shows the Gemini terminal. Within this terminal, let's type in launch Angular AI Tutor. Give it some time. And probably after a minute or so, you should see this screen where it asks for allow execution of MCP tool AI Tutor from server Angular CLI. I am selecting yes, allow always all tools from server Angular CLI. Now it pops up the actual Angular AI Tutor. It says, hello, I am your expert Angular tutor. To get started, I will quickly analyze your project files to see where you have left off. Give me a moment. And it analyzes the scaffolded projects and its files. Then it says, okay, my analysis is complete. It looks like we are starting with a fresh project. That's great. We will be building the smart recipe box application and will begin at the very start of the journey. If you have started this before and would like to resume from where you have previously left off, the tool will allow us to do so. But when I did that a couple of times, it was not so perfect and had taken me back to the lessons which I had previously completed. Maybe because the tool is still raw and it may get better over a period of time. Then it asks, before we dive in, please tell me a little bit about your Angular experience. On a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being a complete beginner and 10 being an Angular expert, what would you say your experience level is? And since this tutorial is aimed at absolute beginners, let me write beginner. Apply this change. Yes, of course. Allow always. And that brings us to phase 1, which is the fundamentals where we cover the first 3 modules. That is getting started, dynamic text, and event handlers. That's it for this playlist intro section. Lot more to discuss about phase 1 in the next part. See you soon. Thank you and bye-bye.